time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. And we have a lot going on. Guys, I'm still trying to get this whole setup done. Jason completely redid my studio this weekend, if you guys weren't around for it. And now I'm trying to figure out this wireless keyboard, mouse, and everything in between. Jason just told me before I didn't have it right. So just bear with me. Guys, we're back to talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Last night's episode 9, which was a 90-minute special, finally giving us what we've all been waiting for, which was the Jen Shah arrest. Unfortunately, everyone loves a good scandal, and that's what everyone tuned in for. But now we're back to talk about it. Guys, before we bring them up, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed, as this is a subscribers-only live chat. And let's welcome Kempire and Down with Jason. Hey.
Hi.
Oh.
I love the new set.
Hey, thank you. It's weird now because I'm trying to navigate having the monitor in front of me, and we're still waiting for my computer to come because I decided to buy a brand new computer during the time where everyone is buying computers. So great timing. But it's okay. Everything's working out.
It looks great. I love it.
Hey, thanks. All right, so I'm going to go around the room and ask real quick before we get started. If you had to rate this episode a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, Kempire, I'm going to start with you. What would you give it?
I'm going to give it a solid 8. I was leaning towards 7, but I'm going to give it a solid 8 because, and it's not really because of the Jen Shah arrest. It really was more about Mary Cosby.
Yes.
Mary Cosby brought it. Solid 8. Okay. Jason?
I am going to give it a 9.
Oh,
because I liked, like you just said, Kempire, I really loved the episode, even without the Jen Shah arrest, because we didn't really see a lot of that. They waited till the last 5 minutes to show us kind of basically just cops showing up. It wasn't like there was this big arrest or big moment, but the whole episode up until then was I was laughing the whole time.
I'm probably going to give it a good 8 as well. I'm going to copy Kempire on this because I thought it was great, but I hate a cliffhanger, and I hate that Bravo left us at the end of a 90-minute fucking episode with this shit, and we're going to get into it. But I do want to talk a little bit about the Mary Cosby situation. So Mary Cosby is hosting this Italian sort of cooking class lunch situation, and she calls all of the women. Well, most of the women answer except for Whitney, and Whitney claims that she was doing carpool. She called her a couple times and Whitney never returned the call, and it obviously pissed Mary off. Mary has some triggers, okay? Mary has some triggers, but she showed us this is one of them, and I didn't really understand this scene. We see, and I'm just going to jump right into it. We see where Mary invited all of the women, and she was like, listen, I want you to show up in Italian streetwear. I want you ladies to bring it, and that's what they all came to do, except for Whitney. She got a completely different invite where she was supposed to dress up as this sexy dominatrix looking kitty cat Britney Spears in Toxic. I don't know what the hell she wanted her to dress as, but when she did not come dressed like that, Mary was pissed. She's like, you were supposed to be the joke. You didn't show up as the joke. Now you messed everything up. And Whitney's like, okay, everyone's going to laugh at my expense. No, thank you, ma'am.
Yep. Basically.
This was, I
thought it was so I thought it was funny when Heather was like, Mary always invites us to these events and then tells us how to dress. The last event was going to be all decked out ball gowns, but it was in the middle of the afternoon. And then this event is Italian, streetwear. And Heather Gay's I don't even know what Italian streetwear is. I think if anyone hit close to that, it was probably Meredith. But I was laughing the whole time. But you know how you have a friend who they call you a lot and you're like, I'm not ready. I'm not in that mindset to talk to this person. I'm going to call them back later. And then you forget. I have a feeling that's what Whitney was doing to Mary.
Well, I do want to ask really quick because Mary, for some reason, and I'm starting to like her more and more on the show because she has this kooky, quirky side to her. And at first I was like, well, we've heard a lot of Cole allegations and you never come out of your closet. So what is there really to love about Mary? But when we're watching her in this episode, she's already, listen, Mary was on the outs with everyone, really. She kind of just does her own thing. She doesn't give a shit. She's not a person who runs in a pack. She's like, okay, you guys are over there. I'm not into that. I don't want to tube and carry a tire up a hill. That is not my thing. And we see where her and Ginny win. There's no resolve. We're not getting to a good place. So much so to the fact and the point that she didn't even invite Ginny to the cooking class. Ginny decided to host her own cooking class with her kids making yogurt. But do you think it was pretty shitty that she wasn't invited?
No, because I didn't miss her. I like Ginny in the beginning of the season, but I think a lot of people are seeing the cracks in her storyline and how orchestrated it seems to be coming across. So I didn't miss her. I was okay with her not being a part of it. But what we do need every season is a Mary lunch. We need that every season. You know how every season in New York they used to go to Dorinda's home? We need a lunch with Mary because it's always funny. It's always drama filled.
You know what, though? I do have to say, too, with the Housewives, and Jason, I want to ask you the same question next. But with the Housewives, when they throw events and they give out gifts, normally they stage themselves up. Like they over deliver on the next time and they keep on bringing the gifts. Nobody brings the gifts like Bling Empire, but they bring better gifts. And she brought aprons in a Louis Vuitton bag and they all thought they were Louis Vuitton aprons. I'm like, you fools. And she's like, I'm not buying these women Louis Vuitton aprons. I'm like, well, why not? You got them Louis Vuitton AirPods and everything else. What's the difference?
I don't know. I love those aprons. And Kempire, I have to agree. We have to do an annual Mary luncheon every season. This has to be a thing because it just like the things she puts together, like her, wherever her like creative conscience is coming from to put these luncheons together, it's just like, I don't know who you are yet. And people, I know some people still don't like Mary, and I get it. This is a setup. We're working into that. You see Lisa already pushing that storyline, you know, a very obvious storyline that we're going to ask questions about Mary's church. We see that coming up. But I have to agree, Kempire, I think when it comes to Salt Lake City, maybe you and I really agree on the same things. I didn't miss Jenny. Yeah. And not because of her storyline or anything. I liked her. She was a cool like intro. She got me through like 1 or 2 episodes. And then
we love her family.
We love her family.
Our daughter.
Well, okay, yeah.
We love her daughter.
Kempire's like, don't stretch that shit up. No. Wait, Kempire, you came with a Christmas sweater and supposed to be all holly and shit, and this is what you're giving us?
Look, I'm introducing things slowly.
Okay.
Oh, wait, but a couple things in regards to Mary is giving me Mia. She's starting trouble with everyone.
Right.
Everyone, which I enjoy. But there were a couple things, people that tweeted me after our recap last week. First of all, rest in peace to Cameron. You know, the guy that was a former member of Mary's church. Rest in peace to him. Mm-hmm. I had no idea because I believe he passed away several months ago.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so I'm like, ooh. But look, they are setting up this whole Mary Cosby story. I'm here for it, but the bag of crazy that she's giving us so far, it's entertaining.
It's television. This is fun.
Do we know how Cameron passed away?
Oh, I forgot.
I forgot too, but I think it was in June he passed.
Guys, go ahead. 300 people in the room now, but thank you, Rosemary. 300 people in the room. Go ahead, smash that like button under 10 minutes. That's great. Mary Cosby too, though, she has a lot of, again, getting back to her corpse, walking in and the woman is like, yes, we set up this beautiful table for you and your friends. And she's like, hold on, wait a minute. Wait. Why are the glasses over? This is simple. Why is the knife goes on this side, the fork goes on this side? What? And then the woman's like, would you like me to change it? She's like, no, it's fine. It's beautiful. And I'm like, which one is it? You're giving this woman whiplash. She's just like, let me out of here. I don't even want to be in this situation. I don't like you right now. Like you're making me look like a fool. My boss is going to watch this. And I'm probably the one who pitched it to my boss saying, hey, look, Housewives want to film in our restaurant. And the boss is probably going to be like, girl, you can't set a table.
I think even if it was perfect, and even if it was Mary who did it, she's going to be like, this wasn't done correctly. That's just Mary.
Right. All right. Well, I do want to bring up this next scene really quick because it didn't keep my attention, but I do get why Heather introduced it. We have the scene where Heather's sitting down and it's with her niece, and Heather's niece believes the Mormon church should be leading social change, but she feels as though she is off the hook now with I don't even know what this means. Heather explains that she was at one point a practicing Mormon, but she looked down on others who did not follow the religion, but now she toasts to being a second-class citizen in the eyes of some. And she said that she's right there in the tier with Jeffrey Dahmer. When she goes to heaven, she gets to knock on his door. Hey, Jeffrey, can I get into heaven with you?
You know what I thought was it was very entertaining about this is because we have the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City where Mormonism is all over, Utah and Salt Lake. Now, the city council of Salt Lake City, they just had some elections or something like that. Almost all of them are people of color or part of the LGBTQ community. That's kind of cool. But what I did want to see more in Salt Lake City was religion. We have a lot of religions amongst these groups of women, but also I like exploring Mormonism through Heather's eyes and just what she's been through. It's very different from like me growing up Mormon, but I do like how she's starting to explain stuff and show us a little more about the church and the inner workings, and what it's like to live in Salt Lake being a Mormon. I did like that. It was fun, but how she explains the levels of what we call heaven or the afterlife.
Your sister explained that to me when we went, where did we go? Not the temple, but
it's across from the temple. It's the conference center.
The conference center. Yeah.
Yeah. Where the tabernacle choir sings and yeah.
It's actually smart on Heather's part though, because I think this is a perfect segue for her book, Bad Mormon, that's going to be coming out.
Yes, I agree with that. That's a good point.
But now, was it a good segue? Do you think that when Lisa was playing with the Oculus thing, and what do you think she was in Total Wine trying to find Vita in the metaverse? Because that was not a good segue for her.
That is shady as hell.
That's all I could think about.
Shady as hell. I do want to talk about this, not this moment, but this woman, of course, because we're going to get to this moment. But Jen Shah, we see a lot of her and her assistant in this episode, and obviously editing had a huge part in this because they were trying to show the dynamic between her and Stuart. And Jen says to her assistant at one point, we're making new memories together. They're preparing to go snowshoeing. And she told Stuart, listen, I talked to my therapist and my therapist told me that I need to really focus on these relationships and building these relationships because I haven't been in the best place. Well, in doing so, she's like, listen, you have to realize, Stuart, I'm not just doing these businesses and starting all these businesses for me. I'm doing this to put food on the table for your family too. He goes, I know you are, Jen. I know you are. I'm like, what this gave me Camille vibes when she's sitting in the hot tub and she's like, I paid your mortgage and I've taken care of you. I guess I have some sort of Jesus complex or something. I'm like, you don't say that shit.
Probably would have been cut out, but because they know what happens later, they added it. I don't think we've seen these scenes before.
I mean, I agree.
Stuart is the best friend I've introduced in any of these franchises lately, so it's been great to watch.
I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see how that plays out, of course. But I can't. I hate to say this, and again, I know that it's so shitty. But everyone watches for the scandal. And I know that we've waited until episode 9 to get the scandal, but now everyone is going to be so invested in Jen Shah's court date and wondering what's going to happen. And I feel like even with editing and showing us her playing basketball with her son and having these moments, it makes you sad. Like it really does, because not so much for Jen and a little bit, but for her kid, because I remember at a time where my mom was watching TV and she was dealing with her own divorce and some things that happened. And we were sitting there watching TV, watching Paris Hilton go to jail for, I forgot what it was, but she went to jail for like 3 hours. And when she was walking into the jail, my mom was crying, squalling. And I only saw my mom 3 times a year because I lived in a different state. And I remember the pressure that she had on her. And I thought about it too. And I'm like, oh, Jen Shah's kid knows what's going on. He has this pressure too. We don't know when this was filmed, before or after her arrest, because they piece things together, and it breaks your heart for the family.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel for Jen Shah's kids. I don't feel for Jen Shah because she's been doing this for a very long time, and she had the nerve to go on reality TV when people are being convicted and arrested and all this other stuff. So I don't feel sorry for her. You saw her move like a real criminal in this episode. Turn off my mic. And thank God for the cameraman. They're like, keep the camera on her.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Barbara Romeo said, sad. She ripped off the elderly for their life savings. You got to be kidding me. I am sad for the family. Like Kempire said, I am not sad. Listen, Jen Shah will have her day in court, and if she's proven guilty, that will be a situation, and she will have to pay her time, do her time, just like Teresa Giudice did. If that happens, no, I'm not sad if she's found guilty. That's her. You did this to yourself. But for her family, her kids who didn't know what was going on, I'm sure, Yeah, my heart breaks for them. I'm not taking that back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So where should we go next from here? Because when we're sitting at the Italian restaurant, we see the women kind of trying to have this conversation and try to make it upbeat. Okay, we're here to have a good time. And then the topic comes up where Lisa Barlow did not invite Jen Shah to, what is it? Wolf what?
Fresh Wolf?
Yeah, Fresh Wolf, the kids like hair products and stuff like that.
This was so pre-orchestrated, though. We know why Jen Shah wasn't there, and we know why, Mary Cosby wasn't there, because she did have a friend of the congregation show up and spill the beans in a very, very staged situation. And Dana Wilkie made a good point last time we talked to her. She said there was one point where Taylor Armstrong on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills invited all the women over for a tea party, and producers told Dana not to go because they wanted her to have a moment with Camille, and they felt Dana would interject. So of course they're going to do the same thing where they don't want Jen there or Mary because they don't want anyone to interject with Lisa's plans to introduce this character on the show who has allegedly some dirt on the Cosbys. It makes sense.
Do you think that Jen Shah would have interfered though? I feel like she's more friends with Lisa than she is with Mary Cosby.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if she would have interfered, but I don't know. I think, honestly, I think Mary wasn't invited for that reason, and because Mary's not really a friend of Lisa's. But I think Jen Shah was solely not invited only because she wanted Meredith to be comfortable. And I feel like that was a Lisa catering to Meredith's needs as opposed to Lisa. I think one relationship took precedence over the other in this instance, if that makes sense.
Why did she invite Whitney? I'm so surprised at it. I'm also surprised at the level of closeness that Whitney says that she had with Mary Cosby, because then that would have really been an interference if Whitney did go.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, because that moment too, getting back to this, when she's like, I loved you. Ooh. I loved you, Mary. And she's like, well, then show it. Prove it. Prove that you loved me. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Since when do you love her? When did we get to this place?
I was like, what? And that was a very good Whitney impersonation. I felt for Whitney in that instance, though. I really felt for her. Like when she walked away, that was a real moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because I think that Whitney gets the shit into the stick a lot because she is one of the younger ones. If you notice, she's witty, but she's not fast. She's not she kind of catches herself in her words. And some people are like snappy and fast and on it. And they can, like Candace Diller Bassett is quick as hell. Like you can't keep up with Candace. And I'm not throwing shade at her. She's good at it. And Whitney, I think that she is just not as quick with it. And she has to kind of process and digest her words before she spits them out. And in this moment, I feel like she really felt hurt because she's like, wait a minute, you tried effing me over on the invitation, making me look like a damn fool. And then you're sitting across from me and you're calling me a little girl when I'm a grown ass woman who has children and a husband and a business. You're completely being disrespectful. What did I do to warrant this? And Mary, her steam was coming out of her ears.
Yeah. And didn't she say that Mary's cousin warned Whitney about don't cross her, don't get her mad? I said, OMG.
I think that's true, honestly. And when she was saying too, she's like, people in Mary's congregation, they believe that she is God. We've heard that so many times. And she has even said before on the podcast, I believe it was on the podcast or on the show, she's like, yes, like God lives in me and my congregation knows that. Like when they come to church, they know I am from God. So that's the way she tries preaching it to them. Like God is sending her the message and delivering it through her, and she gives it to them. And God is the only one, or Mary is the only one that God is going to tap into. It does come off very cult-like. I mean, I've not been to a lot of churches, to be honest, to be completely fair. I didn't grow up very religious, but I'm thinking in my head, the one church we did go to, they were speaking in tongues. And then the pastor told my dad we were going to hell if we didn't come 3 times a week. So we stopped going because dad's like, well, shit, my work schedule's too busy. I'm going to hell then. And I guess I'm taking the kids with me. But when it came to Mary Cosby, this is a very odd, it's odd. And I knew we were going to get odd elements of different religions, not odd, but unique. Because we have the Mormon religion, Jewish, Judaism, we have Muslim, we have Catholic, we have all the different spectrums, right? But we didn't know we had an alleged cult. And I think that that kind of takes the cake for the whole thing. And we're not even focusing on that storyline this season. And thank Jen Shah, Mary Cosby, because Mary would have been the focus this season. I believe that.
A little bit. I think it's a little bit of a focus. It's Jen Shah's arrest, but we're bringing up these cult rumors.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Kempire, though, do you believe the rumors? Do you think that this is like as close to what you would consider a cult?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Look, I don't know if it's a cult or not. There are a lot of organizations, not necessarily just religious. You know, if you watch any of these documentaries, most recently the Vow on HBO Max, there are a lot of organizations, even Scientology. Sidebar, when I was in the Netherlands, a Scientology building was right across the street.
Oh,
Empty,
goodness.
but it was right across the street. There are a lot of entities. There are a lot of religions. I grew up in a religion that people now in certain countries consider a cult. So there's a very fine line. Do I think it's a cult? I don't know. I've never been to the church. But based on the behavior that we're seeing on the show and what people are saying about Mary, it sounds very cultish.
I mean, and another good point, Devil's Advocate, thank you. Adam, the name of the religion is Islam, not Muslim. Thank you. Thank you. And then Katie's Karma said, Mary, you can go. When she said that, when she was like, you can leave to Whitney, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, you did this last time. Are you going to, is this just going to be a thing? We know every time you throw some sort of themed event where you come in and you get pissed off at everyone over the table decorations and whatever else. Are you going to kick someone out every time? Mm-hmm. And if I were Whitney, I would have walked my ass out. I would have been like, okay. And I like when Whitney stood up for herself and she's like, all right, Mary, so we're not friends? We're not friends? Okay, good. Now I know the gloves are off. Ooh. Mary's like,
well, I feel like they became friends in the first season a little bit when she took her dad to the church and when she was talking to her about, you know, Lisa Barlow and how to work that friendship. I felt like Whitney was at least trying to be Mary's friend. So I could see how Whitney would feel kind of, you know, like I've been trying, but now you're throwing this in my face. But Mary just seems to be going after anyone and everyone, like you said. So
no, I agree with that. And, you know, we also saw a moment where Whitney kind of had it out with Lisa Barlow because Jen Shah was confused. Wait a minute. So you sat me down and you talked about my stylist, who we all knew this went viral on social media where the audio tapes were leaked, whatever. And you sat me down and talked about this stylist and how Whitney is over here gifting the stylist stuff from her business, her skincare, right? Mm-hmm. And Jen Shah was like, wait a minute, if you're bringing me this information and you're bringing up Whitney, why are you inviting Whitney to the Fresh Wolf event and not me? That doesn't make sense. And Whitney had a good point too. She said, Lisa, why did you ask if her feelings were hurt? You were planting a bug. And then, I mean, I think that makes sense. I agree with that. I'm like, wait a minute, Lisa, that's exactly what you were doing. You were planting a bug. And we've caught her so many times this season being messy as hell, really trying to make the show a success. But what was so great about when Nene Leakes or Kenya Moore or LVP, when they did it, we didn't know they were doing it. We didn't catch on to it. Lisa Barlow, it's like, read my hand. This is what I'm doing next. And we're like, oh, okay, great. So it's like
read the tan on my hand.
Yeah, read the tan on my hand. Yes, I agree. But no, I mean, I think she was planting a bug. And you know, Whitney and Heather, just like when they were sitting across from Mary, and they're like, "Oh, Lisa really came for you. Are you mad at her? You should be mad at her. Well, you'll see Lisa's true side." To be fair, Whitney's doing the same shady shit behind Lisa's back that Lisa's doing behind her back. But at this point, why don't we just call it a wash?
Nope.
We're not friends. That's okay.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, Whitney doesn't need to be friends with Lisa. What does she get out of the friendship with Lisa? That she loves that about everything? Chick-fil-A?
A bottle of Vita?
KFC, Wendy's? Not a bottle of Vito. You can't find that. But what are you getting out of that relationship? And honestly, what does Lisa get out of being in a friendship with Whitney? I feel like they don't give anything to each other. They're in two totally different realms.
Yeah.
But I do love Whitney and Heather together. I do love them. And I love when Heather was like, looks at Jen Shah and she's like, oh, my cousin's on her own on this one. I'm not going against Mary Cosby.
Heather was stirring the pot too. At certain points, Heather was stirring the pot, and I can appreciate that. She knows the assignment as well. Heather, first of all, Heather's new confessional look with the red, what was it? Was it Givenchy that she was wearing? I forgot what it was.
Was it Gucci? Or it was Givenchy, wasn't it? Yeah.
She looked great. Her hair looked great. Heather is just growing and growing. I love her. I love her.
Me too.
I do too. I do want to mention another hypocritical thing, though, that came up. When Mary claimed that she doesn't get screamed at when Whitney got excited and passionate and was yelling at her across the table, she said, I don't get screamed at because I don't scream at people. And then I'm thinking in my head, hold on, hypocrite. This is a hypocritical move because we've heard the audio tapes of you reaming the congregation for not giving you expensive birthday presents. One woman gave you $100 and you ripped her a new one. So you have screamed at them. There is audio, just like Jen Shah can't say she hasn't screamed. There's audio. And when you get caught on audio, it makes you sound like a fool when you're like, I don't accept that behavior because I don't display that behavior. It's like, no, roll the tape. Bravo, cue in the audio.
Well, remember, she believes that she's God and her congregation believes that she's God. So she doesn't see anything that she does or says is wrong. And if you say Google it, she's offended. So Mary Cosby feels as if she's on another level and her church allegedly treats her as such. So her mentality, everything. You saw Heather. She's like, did we bless the food, Mary? And it's like everyone sort of bows down to her.
Yeah, I don't know what she has, that Erica Girardi kind of thing in Salt Lake City where the women don't want to go against her. But honestly, if I were at that table and if I was one of the women, I would just be like, who the fuck are you? Honestly, the way that she talks down to them, the way that little girl, sit down. You wish you had what I had. You wish you were married to your grandfather. Like, it's like, what do you have that they don't? Like, you wish you had 500 mannequins in your closet with the woman helping me and she's from my family, but I don't know who the hell she is because I can't remember her name because she's only been working for me for 20 years. You wish you had it. What are you talking about? From what she's giving us, she's not happy. She's in a loveless marriage. That's what she's giving us on the show. And we can only take what you give us. Like, I didn't think that Dewey had a butterface, but now I always think about it because Jenny gave that to us. You know, I didn't think that Seth was out here creeping on the side or Meredith was creeping on the side, but guess what? You let us in on it. So that's what you gave to us. And for Mary, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't get why it's almost like she feels like and maybe it's because what you said, Kempire, she believes herself to be God in front of her congregation. So she might carry this sort of hierarchy tier situation when it comes to looking at the rest of the women.
I mean, it's coming across that way. Every conversation I feel that she has, she feels as if she is this other level, which is good for her. You know, it's good to have confidence, but it's coming across like, wow, maybe this really is a cult.
Right. Well, and also there was another moment here, and I have to call this out because I called it out with Dorit. On the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, Dorit's like, I never got my nose done. I'm like, girl, you got to own it. That is a whole new nose. You bought that nose. It's okay. You spent the money on the nose. Just own the nose. And for Mary, she's sending these terrible text messages to Whitney, who considers her as a friend, saying, get some more plastic surgery. I don't need plastic surgery, little girl. You are so jealous of my life. You're not a friend to me. You're pathetic. And I'm thinking, and she's like, I've never gotten plastic surgery. I'm like, wait a minute. I did a whole entire interview with Dan Cosby, who you're related to. And Dan Cosby revealed that you would fly to New York and stay in your penthouse apartment and get a couple procedures done and then return to the congregation looking like a brand new Mary 2.0, including
from God,
including getting those bunions removed, which she owns. No, she owns it, but that's not plastic surgery. But we've heard she's had plastic surgery. So this comes off a little hypocritical because if you look at Mary Cosby before, when she first married her grandfather, and now there are some differences. Just saying. I can compare Jason's face now to 10 years ago. I'll notice that, sure, he's 10 years older. Sure, he looks maybe a little bit different, but I'm not going to see a whole entire brand new nose and face.
Not yet, anyway. No.
There's so many people getting work nowadays. Just own it. But when she said that in that moment, you're like, come on now, Mary. We could just look at an old picture of you and you look completely different. Even Jen Shah looks completely different, but she owns the fact that she's done a lot of things.
Heather
looks that's exactly what I was.
Oh my gosh,
that's what I was just gonna say.
She used to be, and she's still pretty, right? She's really pretty. Heather's pretty. They're all beautiful women, but she has a whole entire new build to her face. Like she took on, she has a new jawline. Her face,
though. That's her business. I mean, literally, that is her business. That's how she makes her money. But I have to say, early pictures of Heather, to me, she looks a lot better than she necessarily looks now. I love you, Heather.
I agree.
I some of her old photos, I'm like, oh my gosh, Heather was gorgeous.
Yeah. I agree too. And I think that, even the photo where she's making fun of herself as being a bridesmaid and having to cover up, and I was dying laughing at that. So maybe the Bad Mormon book will be a good book. But, even in that where she's looking to the side, I'm like, she looked like Anna Nicole Smith. That's who she looked like to me in some of Anna Nicole's old photos. Like, that's what she gave me. And now looking at her, she's like, welcome to Beauty Lab and Laser. Like, it looks like and I'm not shit. Listen, I still think she looks beautiful, but you can tell. I mean, you can always tell, right? If you take it to that next level, some people, like normally when people used to, back in the day, go get plastic surgery, I used to watch Botched a lot, so I know about this. But when they would go and ask for plastic surgery, they wanted the most extreme changes. Same thing with makeup. People wanted makeup where you knew, they were wearing a shit ton of makeup. Now it's like the natural look. So you don't want people to notice because there's subtle changes, subtle makeup. It looks like it's just my skin tone. And I think that's sort of evolved along the way. I don't know. I'm not going to diss her. Heather Gay, we love you. I'm sorry. Raise a glass of champagne to Heather Gay. Guys, 700 in the room. Don't forget to smash that like button. Show some love. Subscribers only, so get subscribed, okay? And we're back for Hot Messy Topics tonight, but I do want to continue this conversation back to Mary. So Meredith is giving us this whole spiel, which, by the way, can I just say something really quick? I have to bring this up. This woman is giving me nothing. She's giving me nothing. Is she giving?
When she was talking to Whitney about Mary and talking to Cameron the other, at Lisa's event, I was like, "Are you drunk?"
I think even when she was talking to Ginny Wynn, when she had, I don't know if you guys kept noticing, but one minute she would have her wine in her hand when she was getting her pedicure, manicure. And then the next moment it was on the table behind her, but then you would see her eyes and they were a little bit glossy. And I'm like, but Brandi Glanville's a good example of that. Brandi says on her podcast, I used to get shit-faced before filming because I wasn't comfortable and I didn't like being there. So I would get shit-faced. That way it was like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, I'm not going to remember it. So let's do it. I don't think Meredith takes it to that level, but she does look like she's a little bit tipsy. She does.
Still giving us nothing? Oh, so she's not even a fun drunk.
No,
I mean,
like Liam.
Every time we see her, it's just kind of, it's very like passive. We don't really get in, but that could be coming too. But with last season, the whole, Kempire, we talked about this, the whole marriage situation with her. It wasn't really like a great storyline. And then this season, I think there's going to be I think we're going to still get some Meredith later in the season with her fighting with Jen and Mary.
I think with Meredith, at least, if she could be a Cynthia Bailey. Cynthia Bailey didn't bring a lot when it comes to the show. A lot of people say she brought balance, but Meredith doesn't bring balance. She doesn't bring anything in her confessionals. I'm very bored with Meredith, and I was excited about her friendship with Lisa, but even that doesn't seem like a solid friendship.
No, and then I was thinking about her tagline when she's like, I may be known for my ice, but I always bring the heat. I'm like, when? Where? Was the heat edited out? What, did you leave it in the sauna, in the jacuzzi? Where the did you leave it? In the last house that you rented? Where did you leave the heat? Because that shit's not playing out on season 2 of Salt Lake City. We don't get heat. We get like defeat. Like you look defeated. Like you don't want to be there. You don't want to film. That's what I'm getting. And by the way, getting back to her, she just so happened to have this home in Vail, Colorado. She had this home in Vail, Colorado that she rented for the family because she wanted to do a family situation. I'm not buying that. I think this is a great excuse for a girls trip. Okay, whatever, yada, yada. So she brings on Heather Gay to help her get the women in mode. Like, let's get them excited. I need you to kind of party plan this with me. And she wanted to go ahead of time to Vail, Colorado in order to pay tribute to her late father. So she decides, I'm going to stay in Vail. I will meet you ladies in Vail, Colorado. Well, Mary's like, no, bitch, not going on a bus ride with you guys because she knows that 60 plus 60, that's 120 minutes and that's 2 hours. And Vail is a little bit longer than that. So she said, I am going to fly private. I think that's hilarious because why wouldn't you just invite the rest of the women to fly private with you? Why would you?
Because I have a conspiracy theory.
Okay. Here we go.
You know how everyone says, oh, it was Meredith that called the feds? Even though I don't believe any of them called the feds. It was Mary Cosby, and she knew it was going down. So she's like, I'm not going to be there when this goes down.
I had a headache last night. I just had a headache. I'm just going to catch a private jet.
She didn't even want to show her face.
That's an amazing conspiracy.
What the hell was she doing with why was the camera here? Why was the camera all the way down here? girl, this is how you hold the camera.
I think that she didn't. Oh, I know. And I was wondering if maybe she wasn't all glammed up. Maybe she was just kind of in her sleepy attire where she, and I was thinking she didn't want to share what she looked like, not all glammed up. I felt like that's why she was hiding it. Unless, listen, I'll FaceTime my dad.
She didn't want to show God's real gift.
Yeah. Okay. I'll FaceTime my dad or Pops. And when Pops talks to me, I'm staring up his nose the whole time. I'm like, Pops, you have to look at the camera. He's like, he said, what? Are you still on the phone? Yes, Pops, I'm still on the phone. Look at the camera. But no. Okay. So Mary decides to fly private because she has a little bit of a headache. She's not going on the bus ride. She's out. Meredith, already in Vail. She's out. That leaves Heather Gay, Whitney Rose, Ginny Nguyen, Lisa Barlow, and Jen Shah all to jump on the bus in front of Beauty Lab and Laser. Well, we see where Heather Gay shows up, and then Whitney, and then Ginny, and then Lisa, and then all of a sudden, here comes Jen Shah, okay? They're setting it up. They're getting excited. Okay, we have fun games for the bus. This is going to be fun. We have snacks, yada, yada. And then Heather decides to walk in really quick, go pee one last time, or get more Botox. We don't know what she was doing. And then, boom, all of a sudden, Jen Shah gets the phone call. This is the phone call we've all been waiting for. But was it as suspenseful as you were hoping for, Kempire?
No, you're right. The fact that you even pointed that part out, was it suspenseful? It wasn't. But I'm mad at Whitney. Whitney, you have done so many great things this season. However, you failed us.
I've said that since day one. This is bullshit. Whitney, you had a moment. You could have solidified your snowflake for the rest of your life in this franchise. Jason, did it give you everything or was it lackluster?
No, I think she was in complete shock when she got the phone call, and she didn't want to show any emotion or surprise or anything like that. So I think she just kind of just tried to breathe at that point. But
what do you think, honestly, real quick? So your phone rings, right? Where's the phone? Oh, it's in my lap. Your phone rings. Jen gets on, and it's Coach Shah. Okay, what could he have been saying on the other end of that phone? The feds are here, Homeland Security's here, NYPD's here.
Girl, you need to get here ASAP.
Get that out of that wherever you are right now.
Because you will be bleeding. Get home.
Well, can he get in trouble though? Like that? Maybe that's a question for Emily D. Baker. But like when Whitney was like, should we call her and say that she or Heather, one of them, should we call her and let them know they're looking for her? And Lisa Barlow was like, I'm going to go with a no on that one. And I was thinking in my head, yeah, no shit. But I was wondering, with Coach Shah calling her, could you get in trouble? Like, was that giving a tip? Because like Emily said, when they unsealed the documents, they unsealed them that morning right off the bat because they don't want it to hit the news, press, or anything before the person is actually in custody. And if you notice NYPD yesterday, they kept on asking, is she okay? We just want to make sure she's okay. They weren't letting, like they weren't giving you any idea of what was actually about to play out.
Yeah, I honestly believe that, well, first we have to remember Sharif is a former attorney. So he knows what he's doing. I think from what we're hearing, the feds actually went there. So I think the feds are probably there when he called her. So I don't believe that's why, first of all, so far he has not been implicated. He's not being charged with anything. Right. So I honestly believe he was just thought the feds are here. You need to come home.
Yeah, I mean, why they wouldn't go to Bed Bath
that
and Beyond?
Phone call was longer
Beauty
than
Laser Lab. They wouldn't go there first. They would go to her house.
Yeah.
Right. Alexis Smith said, I think Bravo called the feds. What are the odds that all of these random people, random nobody housewives have insane tax issues, fraud cases, embezzlement? Well, this is the new era of housewives, guys. So welcome in. But no, that phone call was a little bit longer than what I was anticipating for someone to be like, hey, the feds are here. And I think she was trying to figure it out. But I agree, Whitney dropped the ball because when she said to unmic her, Whitney should have acted like she was unmiked, but not have actually unmiked her the same way when Nene went and talked to Eva Marcille about her living situation. And she's like, you're not mic'd, right? She's like, no, I'm not mic'd. And Nene carried that out and got the audio, even though it was shitty. It was dirty as hell, but it was a moment that we got and everybody was like, oh, Nene, you did dirty, but that was good.
But mind you, even though that happened, the cameras were still on her. We still got audio from her conversation. We just couldn't pick up the audio from the phone.
Right.
But it was definitely Sharif on that phone.
It was definitely Sharif. And when she got in you know what was crazy too is her assistant, her second assistant's helping her pack. Her second assistant got in the truck with her. The second assistant saw her arrest. I'm so curious, like if I could pick the second assistant's brain as to how this all went down, The second assistant was there when her contacts were blurry and she signed documents that she said she didn't mean to sign. I mean, there was a lot of shit that happened and we don't know any of it, but I'm sure, again, do you think that Bravo cameras weren't there? They didn't catch up with the truck when she got arrested.
No, I don't think
they caught up with her at the courtroom. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see that. I mean, I wish we saw that, but they said it was 12 minutes later that the feds showed up at Beauty Lab. So it was really close. Goodness, I wish we could have caught that entire moment.
I mean, and when they came in, it was HSI. Like the women were like, wait a minute, I know what NYPD is, but what is HSI and what is this? And then Heather Gay is trying to be funny in a moment that's not supposed to be funny. And she's like, listen, when the popo usually show up, I'm like, wait, there's a problem. And I'm like, Heather, get your ass back on the bus. Shut up, Heather.
I think Heather was more worried about.
She came out and asked all these questions. I was like, yes, Heather, keep asking the questions. We want to hear. We don't want to just see them roaming around doing their thing because we're not going to be able to get any audio from them unless Heather is out there asking the question. She did what she was supposed to do.
Yeah,
okay, so
no,
Heather,
I agree. But
Heather
she was looking very. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jason.
No, she was just looking very worried in the van. And a lot of people say, well, did she have something shady going on? But like if cops were pulling around all my business, because you're sitting outside, that van was right outside her business, I'd be a little worried too. Like what just went down that I'm not aware of? But yeah. She was kind of like shaking.
You know, and people, Annie J, Heather was so white chicks, completely lost. Haha. Okay. You know, when Jen Shah decided to come up, like she came up with this really quick. She was like, oh, I have to go. Coach Shah has internal bleeding. Is he okay? Oh yeah, I think he's okay, but I don't know. I have to go. And I saw where people were slamming her on Twitter saying, you're a liar. And we just caught you in a lie. So you're probably lying about, you know, everything that all of your alleged misdoings, whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. She lied, though, in the moment because she didn't want production up her ass when she got arrested because she knew she was about to get arrested and she didn't want to get arrested on camera. So she was saying anything she could to get out of that situation. That way she wouldn't have to relive that for the rest of her life playing out on television because that's exactly what they would have done. They would have shown her getting cuffed going into the back of a car.
Yep. It's true. It's really true. Look, I think she moved like a real criminal. I mean, I know she has not been convicted. However, based on how she moved, that was very quick thinking on on how that all played out. I don't think anyone else would have thought that, especially if you're an innocent civilian. You're not thinking like Jen Shah did in that moment. Turn my mic off. Turn my mic off. Oh, I got to get out of here. 12 minutes later, they showed up and she was out.
Right. And not only that, too, like. You could tell because had Jen Shah, and we know this based off of speaking with Emily D. Baker, right? Jen Shah was brought into court before and they warned her and they said, you are doing shady business practices. This is what you're doing. So they gave her a warning. They let her go and they said, we will be watching you. She figured out a new way to continue doing what she was doing, trying to go uncensored. So you could tell so obviously in this scene that she knew exactly why. It's like the feds are here. If you are an alleged criminal, right, then you know why the feds are there. That's like if the feds show up at your house and you just rob somebody's house, you're not going to question and be like, oh shit, you know, like, why are the feds here? I have no idea. You're going to think, what do I do now? Like, I have to figure out some way to get myself out of this. I need to think really fast on my feet. Like it would be high anxiety.
Yep. I agree. I don't know. That's why I said in that particular moment, I was just like, oh, she's ready for this moment. The way she seemed a little nervous, but she was straight face. I was like, oh, okay. Is this what we're doing? I would have been sweating. I was like, I don't know what to do.
I agree. I mean, it was an absolute shit show, but I am curious with the rest of this playing out. Do you think, do we know how many episodes we have in Salt Lake City? I'm guessing it's probably 17.
That's what I'm guessing. Yeah,
17. Do you think that they will pick up cameras soon for the third season to figure out what's going on with Jen? Yeah, I agree. Jason?
Yeah, 100%. Why not?
Yeah, but the only thing is, like now, without Jen Shah, I don't know what's going to happen to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, to be honest.
That's why they're casting. I don't think Jenny was kind of what they needed to fill Jen Shah's shoes. So they've gone into casting mode. And I think we got sidetracked with Angie Harrington. I think that was to get us through a few episodes. Let's have an event at our house. Let's like have some kind of mix up. I don't think that really works. It doesn't really, the glue doesn't stick. So I think we're going to get someone else, at least one or two.
Can we just talk a little bit about, though, Jenny in the car when they were talking about maybe we should cancel this? Jenny was like, no, let's go.
Yeah.
No heart. She has no heart. She is cold-blooded. I can appreciate it, though. But she's like, let's go.
Well, I mean, she did have a point, though. Like, first of all, you're still in the middle of a pandemic. So if she is going there to be with her husband, who does have internal bleeding, then you're not going to be allowed in the hospital anyways. You're just going to have to wait for whatever is said. So you can support from afar while you're in Vail, Colorado.
But based on the rumors that we've been hearing about Jenny's not who we think she is. So I look at everything that she says and does now. I'm like, oh, you're a little sinister. Even the way that she was saying it, though. It's one thing, like, guys, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do. I know I'm concerned too, but there's nothing we're going to be able to do for her right now. No, she's like, let's go. Come on. I was like, oh my God.
Travis Tinsley said still tacky, and Annie J said, why cancel the trip? The complete trip.
Look, I didn't want to cancel the trip either. It was just the way that she said it. I urge everyone to rewatch that scene and then think about the rumors about Jenny.
Okay. Susan D said, what is Jen's charge? She has 2 counts of felonies. One is alleged telemarketing scheme, and one is alleged money laundering. One carries 30 years in prison. One carries 20 years in prison, with a combined total of 50 years in prison. But it seems like after asking Emily, Ronald Richards, and a few other attorneys what they think, they feel like she'll get anywhere from 7 to 10 years, which is still a long ass
That is a long time.
And Ronald even said, say she gets 8 years, the minimum that she would, you know how like you could get out for good behavior, she would still have to serve at least 6 of those years. So you're still, it's not like, okay, well, if you get 10 years and you're really good for the first 5 years, then we're cutting you out. It doesn't work like that. And I thought it did. I always thought it was a day for a day because that's what I was told. But
who told you that? Wait,
a day for a day.
I was told it was a day for, listen, I've had people I know go in and out of the pen. Okay. And they told me some stuff and they said it's a day for a day. Sorry, sister. I'm not ratting on you, but no, I'm just kidding. She doesn't watch anyways. Love you. Okay. But no, so we can wrap this up. I do want to know now, moving forward, that we finally got the drama, what we've all been waiting for after waiting 9 episodes. What are you looking forward to most as we continue to watch Salt Lake City? Jason, I'll start with you.
Well, the thing that surprised me about this episode for an hour and a half is that the Jen stuff at the end was just like kind of a cherry on top. The rest of the episode was good. I enjoyed it. I laughed the whole way through. I thought it was funny and ridiculous. However, there has been quite a few episodes that I've been completely bored and not knowing what we're doing with this franchise. So at this point, I can't tell you what I'm looking forward to because I don't know if this is going to have the same follow through for the rest of the season. I'm not sure.
That's a good point. I hope it does, but that's a good point. Kempire?
I think I'm with Jason on this one. I think I'm not looking forward to the arrest because I feel like we already know what happens, but it'll be interesting to see the ladies' reaction and how they navigate this in comparison to how they navigated it in Beverly Hills, even though I know it's very 2 different legal situations. But I'm looking forward to more of the Mary Cosby kooky crazy bag of weird.
Oh God.
Me too.
Mary Cosby is somewhere on a private jet like, oh bitch, they got your ass.
No, we're gonna work our way slowly into her alleged schemes and fraudulent behavior.
Allegedly.
Or said alleged before.
She's projected for a few years before we crack that case.
Yeah, well, I mean, not if everybody from the congregation keeps coming forward. Hale said, I'm tired of Heather. All she talks about is wanting her daughter to be a teen mom. They need to fire her, Meredith and Ginny.
A teen mom.
Thank you, Hale. I appreciate that. That's a different take on it. And then there was another one in here. She can watch in prison. Can you imagine that face without Botox, what the face is going to look like when she gets out? Ugh. And then federal prison has different rules. You're going to serve most of that time. That's true. And then one more person put, Rafila said, where she serves that sentence matters, could be hell, could be like a country club. That's actually an interesting point because talking to Emily and Ronald Richards, most likely if she does get prison time, she will be able to pick which prison she goes to, or at least what city. Like, it's just because she's being tried in the Southern District of New York doesn't mean she's going to New York prison in New York. They might just let her go to one in Salt Lake. That way she can continue to see her family. And
that's 6 years in prison. You're still, even if it's a nice prison or whatever it may, you're still restricted. You still have rules. You're still not living the lavish lifestyle that you once lived. You're still separated from your friends and family. You're not doing things on your own. Your independence is gone.
I don't know if Coach Shaw's going to stick around for that.
He's not. He hasn't really stuck around now.
Okay. Well, you sound pretty confident about that. You know something we don't?
I know things.
Okay. PK said, love Lisa and Meredith. Well, said no one ever.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. Luella said, pick a prison with a nice view, I guess. And then also, was Martha Stewart in federal or state prison? I actually don't know that one. But, and then last one, Annie J. The only thing I'm guilty of is being Shahrrested. Not amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Well, with that, guys, that is our recap for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, episode 9. And we will be back next week on Jason's channel, and then the week after on Kempire's channel. We have a lot coming up this week. A lot of exciting new stuff. Paris in Love is coming at the end of the month. Portia's Family Matters, that's coming. We have the Real Housewives of Orange County coming at the very end of the month. There's some shit happening in November, and then we have.
I was like, not interested. We have Miami coming up.
Oh, Miami's no. I'm interested. No, I'm interested in Paris in Love and Portia's Family Matters, and I will watch the first 3 episodes of Orange County to see if they can get my attention and redeem themselves. I'll give them that. If they can't, I'm done. So, and we also. One of the new housewives, and this is something Jason's complained about before. You know how you said you feel like all of the Salt Lake City ones come on as caricatures of other housewives? Do you remember when Kim Richards looked at Lisa Rinna and she's like, "Why don't you eat a piece of bread?" Apparently, the newbie who got demoted for talking shit about Terry DeBro's plastic surgery work looked at Emily Simpson and was like, "Why don't you go eat another cheeseburger?" I'm like, oh, that's
God. You just reminded me that Emily Simpson is still on there.
Yeah, we don't know why, but we don't know why Robin's still on there.
I thought they were trying to get ratings.
Okay. All right. Kempire, before we go, can you please let us know what you have coming up and where we can find you?
I have a lot of things coming up, but if you don't want to miss out on daily, inconsistent hot topics in music, entertainment, reality TV, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kempire Daily, here. And I'm, of course, on multiple platforms as @TheKempire, including my TikTok.
All right.
You're the TikTok king.
TikTok. All right.
I get lost on TikTok like I do on Twitter. I'm like, what the hell do I do? Like, what do I do?
Jason, where can we find you?
You can find me at Down with Jason. We're going to go live in a little bit and talk some more Salt Lake City. And I'm going to take some calls and have some fun. And we're just going to talk about the craziness from last night.
Yes. And then also, guys, don't forget, and I'm reposting it right now, I posted the link for Jason's live at 1:20. So he's pretty much just going to continue this conversation where you guys can call in and join the conversation. And then we're back at 6 p.m. tonight for Hot Messy Topics to take your unfiltered opinions. Now I'm going to go play with this wireless keyboard and my fun toys, I guess, and figure out where my computer is. But love you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, and we'll see you so very soon. Bye, guys. Bye.